What's up, YouTube? Chilling. I ain't really been making videos like that, because I usually try to speak on topics and things that inspire me, or things that really hit me right in the gut. And lately, personally, as far as the internet, you know, I've disconnected from it for the most part. Like I used to share my opinions on it, like on Facebook especially, but I don't talk as much anymore. I try not to because people hear what they want to hear. But that's just been what's going on with me. But a series of events have happened today, all very small, but I don't know, some of them big and small, but significant enough for me to make a valid point. Now, I am in my girlfriend's apartment eating chicken cordon bleu, you know what I'm saying? Drinking Powerade that she wouldn't bought. And me and her are talking about this documentary. And what makes all this stuff connect kind of funny, is that, oh yeah, wearing a shirt that she bought. What makes all this kind of funny, right, is that I think sometimes we as people take life for granted. Meaning, like, my cousin hit me up for earlier, and he was like, yo, something on my spirit told me to tell you to make a podcast. Like, he literally said this. He's like, someone on my spirit told me that you need to get in the podcasting and talking to people about their opinions. And I told him, I was like, cuz, I started that 3 years ago. You know what I mean? He's at a place now where he's done discovered certain shit, and it's kind of like he's woke, so he's more so like on some shit where he's like bouncing back and forth with people's opinions and everything, and he wants to kind of debate, people argue. And I reached a place was like, I'll debate or, talk to a person to a certain extent to where we can share a conversation and talk. But it's not, we're having a dialogue. Like, we both have different perspectives, but we can come to a common ground. And that's a place I've learned that I want to be at when I talk to people. Like, and that's what kind of made me stop fucking with Facebook for the most part. Was like, you arguing with motherfuckers, and people are just telling you what they think, and they're telling you that you're wrong, instead of just being like, well, hey, why don't you look at it from this perspective, and why don't you think of it from this way? Because I'm at a place in my life where I don't want to be right about everything. I want to learn stuff from a different angle. But the point I'm really wanting to make, you know what I'm saying? Because me and my girlfriend are still talking about this whole, thing with this. We're catching ourselves watching, like, murder documentaries and shit. And a lot of these murder documentaries have a common theme, at least from what I can tell of it, and tell me if you're wrong. And sweetheart, tell me if I'm wrong. But a lot of these people that do these murders make these split-second decisions based off how pissed off they are in the moment. Now, funny thing about these documentaries to me is I've been this mad, or I've been this upset, or I plotted these things before in my head. Like, I remember right before I left Georgia, the feeling I was feeling in my stomach. And this is what I was really thinking. This is before I really got to the point where I said I was done with Georgia. This is probably about 4 or 5 months ago. I was finna buy me a rental. I was finna motherfucking get some black gloves, and I was finna buy a pistol. Because I knew plenty of people that could get a hold of that type of stuff for me. And I was gonna seriously hurt somebody. Like, now my cousins, them, and this is just the mind frame of the people I was around. All these niggas got guns. That's just what their thing is. They, like, all of them, like, whenever we got together for family reunions, everybody wanted to bring their pistol out. Especially my older cousin. He stayed strapped with some other shit. He just got robbed, like, shoot, this weekend. So being around guns for me, or being around that type of energy, was normal. You know what I mean? And again, I had got to a place where I was contemplating seriously hurting somebody. And I just remember before, like 2 months before, 5 months ago, was like I couldn't let go of how mad I was at the person that crossed me. Like, I couldn't drop it. Like, and I still, to this day, feel a way about it. It's just, my homeboys at the time didn't support my decision to go the other direction. Like, where I'm from in Georgia, we got to get everybody back for the shit that gets done to us. Like, motherfucker slap you, you got to slap him back. You do shit to you, you got to do it to him back. But also, motherfuckers in Georgia do shit to people, and they think it's supposed to be nothing. But that's another story for another time. Anyway, the point I'm making is like, I've been so angry to the point where I've actually plotted and considering really seriously, and I'm not talking like I've considered stabbing people. There's been times I've almost stabbed people. Like, I've gotten so mad to the point where I've grabbed my mama's kitchen knife and hopped in a car and was finna head up the street and handle somebody over some dumb shit. Basically making emotional decisions. And as I'm sitting here in my girlfriend's apartment, like, I'm 32 now, so I notice a lot of little shit now. Like, the shit I didn't give a fuck about when I was younger, all that stuff is apparent. Like, I come home today, and she already has a plate of food made for me in the fridge. Now, I'm at a place in my life where I'm super appreciative of just life in general. And I'm looking at the plate, and I'm just like, this motherfucker really made me a plate. Not only but for me to eat, dress the motherfucker up, but it was some healthy dressed up shit that was seasoned. I catch little details like that now. And I'm sitting here eating chicken cordon bleu, and she's at work. And I'm drinking a Powerade that she bought, wearing a shirt that she bought me. And me and her are talking about this whole prison thing. And, you know, again, she's probably going to be pissed off because I'm not answering back right second. But it's just this thing, this whole aesthetic was on my mind. And I had to sit here and think about it. And I was like, damn, like, a nigga really living plush as fuck. Like, the job I'm working now, and granted, I work hard at this motherfucking job, but it's like, what was it? I came back to work fucking Thursday, I worked Friday, and I would have been back here Friday, but I was so dehydrated from working in Rhode Island, and for some reason, Rhode Island is hot as fuck this time of year. I don't know why. It must have felt like it was 90. I could have passed out in the back of the trailer. The point I'm making is like, I got back here this morning, Saturday. I don't have to go back to work till Wednesday. That's 4 whole days off of me sitting in an apartment that already has food in it. I'm sitting here watching the motherfucking the Lost versus Dipset battle and everything. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, you know, me and her get to talking, and I find myself in this place of contentedness. Like, I've always been money hungry, but it don't feel like I have to. We're taking days off on planning things because we're not necessarily hurting for the money for it. Like, a nigga ain't rich by no means, but I don't feel like, you know, when I was younger, I felt like I was in this rat race to have so much money, and I gotta have this amount, and this the amount I gotta have. Like, I think I'm starting to really feel, and not so much get comfortable, but I feel home. And what I mean by home is like, I come to this girl's house and it's no drama, no nonsense. Like, me and this girl will lay up on the couch 3 fucking days straight and watch murder documentaries and not talk to a single soul and be content. And that's what I mean by living plush. Like, we ain't got like no fucking Ferrari or nothing, but a nigga is in a space where he's really in a happy space. Like, and I've become so protective of my energy now. Was like, for instance, like, people ask me about family reunions and things of that nature. Like, I don't dislike my family. A lot of them, my mom's side of the family is real cool. It's my dad's side of the family that's more so extra. I don't dislike them. I just don't necessarily go around because I know it's going to be a bunch of extra shit that I know I don't necessarily gravitate to no more. Like, when I talk to my cousins, a lot of times them niggas call me, and what happens to me a lot, motherfuckers call me for advice and just want my 2 cents on things and what I should do. It's mainly my homeboy. But, you know, people need my 2 cents on shit. And what I often find myself doing is reconstructing these situations of, like, people like my cousins and family I grew up with that are the same age of me or a little bit older, a little bit younger. And a lot of them still be on the same nonsense. And it's like, when I came, you know, I talked to my dad probably like 2-3 weeks ago, and he was like, yo, New York must really work out well for you. I said, yeah. Like, hell yeah. That's exactly what I told him. I said, hell yeah, New York works out for me. It's like, what is it about it? I'm like, I don't go through the same old ratchet nonsense Like, and I didn't realize, again, when I talked to my girlfriend about these documentaries, how close I was to really fucking my life up. Like, because I was so filled with emotion and anger and frustration. And listen, there's a lot of shit from back down there I still don't fuck with a passion. But my response to it is different versus like, put it this way. There's a couple motherfuckers if I ever run into them, I'm probably gonna knock their fucking block off. But I'm not in the frame of mind where I'm going to look for these people. Like, when I was younger, I would go grab my mama's kitchen knife, because I was always a knife grabber. I go grab my mama's kitchen knife, I'm heading up the street in my car, and I'm gonna go find these niggas. It's the same reason why I don't buy guns. Like, and my cousins, them, they were so hip to, well, in case a nigga run up, I got the gun, I got the blicky, and that. Like, that's fine and dandy, but I never bought into the idea of buying guns, because if I buy a gun, I've always felt this shit in my head. If I buy a gun, I'm going to go shoot somebody. It ain't finna be for defense. I'm going to play offense. And I knew that about myself. So I usually don't purchase things that I know I can't necessarily fully control myself. Like, I know things about myself, and I'm very self-aware, and this is just me talking of myself about the things in the way I'd react to shit, in the way I'd go about doing stuff, the things that really trigger me for real. Like, listen, violence for me is one of those things with me was like, I like violence and I don't like violence at the same time. Like, I kind of actually want to be violent. Like, deep down, if you really ask me, I'd rather fist fight a motherfucker than apologize. But 32-year-old me is like, you know what? I'm an adult. A nigga got a relationship now. And it's like, this whole relationship thing has sat me down in a space where I can really seriously concise my thoughts and really be like, you know what? I'm chilling. Like, you know how when a motherfucker that used to be on bullshit, like a real street nigga, get the old lady and he sit down and he get out that shit. Like, that's how I feel. It feels like I'm supposed to be here. Like, mentally, I'm in a better space. Like, this has been the most content I've been in the past 10 years. And that is scary to say. Because it wasn't none of my family members that made me feel like this. It wasn't the environment that I was from that made me feel like this. And this is why I go so hard about avoiding it. Because the environment I'm from is what created all of that drama. Because where I'm from, motherfuckers down south don't give a fuck about nothing. They do shit to you and then get mad at you when you slap them back. And that's the mentality I come from. It's like, nigga, we shot your motherfucking cousin and you gonna just eat that shit. Nah, ain't nobody finna eat nothing. We gonna get your ass back. And the cycle just continues. And once I broke that cycle and I removed myself from that environment and I got around a bunch of people that I didn't know, like, everyone I've met since I've been up here has treated me completely different. Like, it's never no, at least as far as my experience, it's never no shit where it's like, well, listen, I mean, I know we just met, but I'm finna go rob these niggas later on. We finna go hit some licks later on, and hey, you want some gas? Like, ain't nobody up here pass me a blunt, try to get me to do no drugs or nothing crazy. It's been all love, as far as I've seen it anyway. And it just has me thinking in this, like it just has me thinking in this frame of mind, like, yo, like, I'm sitting here eating this food, and I talked to my cousin from prison. My cousin has 10, he's done 10 of 45. Like, and me and this nigga, when we was younger, we wasn't necessarily close as niggas. He was closer to my sister. But we often find ourselves talking and just gravitating. I try not to change up on him. So when he asks me for money, I generally try to send it to him. But, you know, I really try to take, appreciate the things that my girlfriend does for me. I appreciate the environment that she's created. I appreciate the life that I live. Like, a nigga be living plush than a motherfucker. Like, we live good. Like, man, listen. Peace to me is sitting here watching this motherfucking TV with this girl, and we're both looking, trying to find out who the killer is. Like, I don't know. Is it the girl that was talking to this dude? It might have been this girl. Like, we just indulge and just talk, and it's like, I find more peace in this little apartment than I have basically in years. Like, the truck was like that for me for a while, where it's like, I could just be alone by myself and just really filter out the things that bother Ronell. And I'm in a space now where it's like a nigga can just sit and watch TV, eat food. Like, a nigga ain't checked his bank account in 2 days. But I know there's money in there. And it's like, it just makes me think of, it just puts me in this frame of mind where I do not want to take my life for granted. Like, when she talks about these murder cases, I know it hits for me a little bit different because, one, I used to work in a fucking prison, and I tell you, that is a horrible way to live. And I think the fact that I worked at a prison, I still recall a lot of that shit to this day, is what kind of, between that and me really being scared to get arrested, even though I was mad enough to not care at the time, is probably what kept me from going over the edge completely. Because my fear ain't in killing the person that I'm mad at. It's dealing with the fucking life sentence in the electrical chair and the damage that I do to my life as a result. And I think a lot of people don't think about that when they're in the middle of it. And she's talking about this guy that, you know, is going through this jury, being interrogated, and he's lying about it. And I personally think the fear will make you lie. But, you know, it's like, you do damage to a person because you're pissed off at a situation or you feel some type of way, and you keep encountering this shit, which is why I tell a lot of my cousins, like, a lot of them niggas, like, well, this happened. Yeah, because you niggas still hanging around in an environment for that shit to happen. Like, a lot of motherfucking people that I'm related to, real shit, y'all got enough money to move out that shit. You just like being involved in that shit. And once I remove myself from that environment and move myself to somewhere completely different, listen, I'm 15 hours away from where I'm from. Like, I can put more distance between it, but 15 hours is good for me. Know what I mean? It just makes me think to myself, like, yo, like, when I be telling my cousins, like, y'all niggas still be plugged into that hood shit a little bit. Like, leave that shit the fuck alone and go sit down somewhere. And I really feel like this whole situation that this girl's put me in has really, like, mellowed me out and made me a better person. Like, she doesn't let me eat fat shit. Like, I've had motherfuckers care, but the way this shit hits, it's different. Like, a person, and I think my awareness of it is what makes it, no, the act of it is what makes it hit different. But the awareness of the details that she puts in it, it's almost like, listen, don't eat this, but like, listen, a nigga never thought to drink motherfucking, what is it, not skim milk, but fucking, I can't think of the fucking shit. Let me look in the fridge. Give me a second, YouTube, god damn it. Oh yeah, that's it. Listen, a nigga never thought to drink almond milk before. And it's just, I don't want to ramble on too long, but it just makes me sit and think about the little shit and just to appreciate life, you know? Even changes in wardrobe. Like, a nigga is open to so much more as far as being better, but I just wanted to get off how plush my life has been, how things have been going for me. Things have been very well. I've been doing really well with myself. My life is very good. I have a very solid career. I have a great girlfriend. And all of these changes, I think I was really ready for it. And I feel like it really has made a work in me. And I'm appreciative of everything. And I just wanted to say that right quick.